Patrick Hostis here. Hey everybody, if you've been following my channel for a while now, you know that I feel the best kind of gun control is no gun control. The First and the Second Amendments are pillars that hold our republic up. Recently, our right to bear arms has been under attack like never before. What our corrupt politicians cannot accomplish legally, they are trying to accomplish through lies and deceit. They slowly chip away at our Second Amendment using scare tactics to demonize both guns and gun owners. But not all gun owners have been shamed into silence. Joining me today is Robert Bertrand, who started an initiative called Help 50. Nice to meet you, Robert.
Nice to meet you, Patrick. Appreciate it.
All right, so can you fill me in and fill our audience in on a little bit of what Help 50 is?
Well, Help 50 is an offshoot of an idea in the organization that came about a couple of years back. Kyle Copeland started the Armed Citizen Project. His goal was to kind of do a little bit of research by giving shotguns and shotgun training to single moms, widows, and in high crime neighborhoods. And he wanted to kind of study the effect, because, you know, as we've seen time and time again, John Lott, all these studies saying more guns equals less crime. So he just wanted another bullet point so that we could prove that gun ownership is a deterrence to crime. That worked pretty well. I mean, I think we must have armed about 20, 30 women at the time. I was actually on the other side of the country while he was working in Texas at the time. And then recently, I moved to southern Illinois, and one of the things that I've noticed here is that, you know, crime is pretty high, even outside of Chicago. It's fairly high, and there's a lot of women who live alone, and I finally had a place in my life where I could do something about it. So I put up a little GoFundMe, and I raised about $1,500 in a week or two, which was amazing. And then they immediately shut it down after I had already got the money, which is kind of strange. But apparently you're not allowed to raise money for purchase of guns on GoFundMe.
Of course.
So at that point I started the website, help50.org, and raised an additional $500 there. And I was able to purchase 5 shotguns for 5 different women. In fact, next Sunday, we're doing our first training. A wonderful gentleman up here, an NRA certified instructor, is going to be running the class, basically firearm safety and home defense. And it just kind of worked out pretty well at first, and still trying to raise money or at least recruit people to do this in their own areas, one or the other. Because I'm almost done. I want to arm and train 50 women in the state of Illinois, much to their chagrin, I imagine.
And now in Illinois, I mean, we hear a lot about Illinois and Chicago and things like that with the gun crime. And I live in Washington State, so I'm not all up on the gun laws in Illinois. But my understanding is they're pretty strict. Aren't they out there?
Well, just to begin the process of purchasing a gun, you have to have a firearm owner identification card, and that can take up to 2 months. Mine came to me in about 25 days, but if I was in a situation where I had needed a shotgun right then, I wouldn't have been able to buy one. So I didn't actually even need that, though, because the way that I do this is I give the money to the gun shop. I pay for it, but I'm not taking possession of the gun. It's not going in my name. The receipt doesn't go to me. It goes to the woman who picks it up. And that kind of helps, with any quote-unquote liability issues. They get the background check through a certified dealer. But again, there's so many laws in the state that are designed to prevent these women or anybody from purchasing a gun. It's unconstitutional for one, but it's as if they don't care.
Well, you know, in the like I'll say in Washington State, for example, we have a law that just passed here where if I want to buy a semi-automatic rifle, I have to go take a class to buy a semi-automatic rifle. I fought in Iraq. I've spent 12 years in the military. I'm a combat veteran. I've been around guns my entire life, but now yet I have to take a class, even though I've had how many hours from the military. I mean, this is what I was talking about in the beginning, how they chip away at the Second Amendment. They can't get rid of it. They can't abolish it because they'll never get the support to do so. So they just chip away at it, and I think what you just described with Illinois is a perfect example of that. They put so many roadblocks in there to have law-abiding citizens to have the right, the ability for them to protect themselves. And that's just really disturbing.
It's disturbing, but you know, at the same time, I find a lot of my supporters are police officers in the area. You know, a lot of people who are the experts in crime and violent crime and how to defend yourself. They all think it's a good idea to give these women the tools and the training to protect themselves. So, you know, I'm just going with the consensus. You know, I know that's sometimes a very unpopular thing to do, but the vast majority of law enforcement officers and experts all agree that an armed target is a hard target.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, there was FBI numbers that just came out about active shooter incidents in 2017 and 2018. Out of all the incidents, I can't remember how many there were off the top of my head, but out of all those incidents, 10 had law-abiding gun owners in there that had weapons. Out of those 10, 8 were stopped by the legal gun owner. That is an 80% success rate for a good guy with a gun in an active shooting event. The numbers speak for themselves.
and I think the rates of these attacks have been kind of inflated. Not, and I don't mean that in artificially inflated. I mean the way that the media covers these things. They're basically just daring copycats to go out and get their attention. It's kind of horrific, and the fact that they don't seem to mind, and they know better. Mm-hmm. They have the information. They know that once they report on a story like this and give this killer name recognition and all this other stuff, you know, this is what his child was like. They know that that's going to cause some other sicko to go out and do the same thing. They might not even use a gun. I mean, we've seen people with trucks. We've seen people with vans. I mean, they'll kill however they can, and we shouldn't promote them.
Well, you look at London right now. They don't have the Second Amendment in England, yet they have a higher murder rate in London with knives than New York has with guns.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, the whole idea that, oh, if you get rid of guns, that's going to make everybody play nice. I mean, look at what happened in France and Nice. Oh, was it 80-something people killed with a truck? Yeah.
They can't protect themselves. They can't, fight. And I'm not saying that, guns are going to be able to protect you in every situation. I mean, the Las Vegas shooter, that wouldn't have solved anything unless you had a high-powered sniper rifle to then locate them. Mm-hmm. You were still going to die.
Right.
But, I mean, the fact is, most defensive gun uses don't even involve a shot fired.
Yeah. Well,
millions and millions every year.
I mean, look at let's look at home invasions, which I'm sure there's a lot of those in Illinois, like there is in Washington and a lot of other places. Well, when somebody's breaking into your house, you call 911. Now, imagine in Chicago, where I listen to their police scanners all the time. They're busy constantly. Or Flint, Michigan, where they don't have enough police officers. Last night, I heard a shots fired call in. It took them nearly 90 minutes to respond because they were so busy with other shooting calls. So are you going to sweet talk somebody who kicked in your door for 90 minutes? And that's an extreme example, but 10 minutes is too long. And it's not the cop's fault. They can't just appear and be there.
I recently uploaded a video of a attack. It was a very cheap apartment with a very cheap door. I mean, so these are low income people, and a guy burst through the door in less than 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. Burst through it, had a machete in his hand. If the person didn't own a gun, they would have been dead.
Yeah.
He would have cut them to pieces. I mean, this is a common thing. I mean, I know that's an anecdote, but it's a common theme. We see time and time again regular law-abiding citizens protect themselves. And I would like to make sure with, Help 50 that, at least 50 more women in the state of Illinois can do the same.
Well, so if people want to support this, how can they do that?
Well, there's two ways. Not everybody has, money to give, even $5. But if you do have $5 to give, go to help50.org/donate. You can give monthly if you'd like. We actually have a charitable shopping portion of the page where you can kind of click and click on Amazon, buy a book, and once you've clicked in it, whatever you get by that day, a percentage of that will come to us. So there are some links like that you can do. So if you have the money, you can either donate directly or you can buy something that you want, and we'll get basically the discount. And the second thing is, if you're worried that your money's not going to go to the right place, I mean, I am going to be posting, my budget and everything else, but you can kind of see where the money's going, guns and ammo for these women. I have, photographic evidence of that. But if you're worried about me, well, then do it yourself. It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you only have enough money to arm and train one woman, you can get a 12-gauge shotgun for a reasonable price, low recoil, something that a little old lady can use and not have to worry about breaking her shoulder. You can get that for somebody in your own neighborhood. So if you could do it just with one woman, I'll promote your effort, even if you don't have enough money to do it. I mean, because again, it's about $200. What I've seen per shotgun, and then we got to purchase ammo. For me, in addition to that, I've also been paying for FOID cards because it's $11 just to get your ID card. So, and again, some of these women don't have $11 to just spend on anything. Mm-hmm. Some of these women don't have bank accounts, so I've had kind of go above and beyond as far as that's concerned. I mean. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can do, especially in states that aren't Illinois, because Illinois is a lot harder to do this in than anywhere else. I mean, in Texas, it's a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And if you live in Ohio, it's probably a little bit easier. But if you want to do it yourself, you can. And all you got to do is go to the gun dealer, give them the money, make sure that you've ordered the right shotgun for the woman, have her come in, sign all the papers, do the background check, pick up her gun. And if you want to, pay for training, please do. Just remember, if you train her yourself, you got to be, you have to have insurance. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact of life now. You have to be insured and be ready. But if you want to do it yourself, you can, and it really would take minimal money. You could basically do it, probably I'd say $350 per woman. If you're basically getting the training for free,
Now, Robert, none of this stuff, this isn't for profit, right? This is simply to get so people can defend themselves.
That's correct. My promise is that not 1 cent goes anywhere else but to this program. And that means buying ammo, buying shotguns, buying FOID cards, and purchasing training. So with an NRI certified instructor. But again, if you're worried, do it yourself.
And it's something that can be cloned, right? This is something that can be done by many different people in virtually every state.
Exactly, and the thing with the nonprofit route that you can go, the amount of money wasted in that situation, if you do it yourself, you know where your money's going. If you send it to me, most likely, unless you see these women, losing their shotguns in the middle of the night, there's probably nothing to worry about. 100% of the money is going to go where I say it's going to go. But again, do it yourself. Then the $300 you spend on a shotgun, ammo, and training is going to go directly to the woman you want it to go to.
And let's think about it this way. If you donate some money, you donate $5, whatever, and that helps get somebody to protect themselves, and they end up using that weapon to save their lives. Maybe not necessarily having to take a life, but just pointing it at the bad guy and saying, get the hell out of my house. I mean, what price do you put on that, on saving an innocent person's life?
Exactly. It's a priceless thing. I don't want any of these women to be hurt. I want anybody to have their homes invaded by some scumbag who decides that he can do whatever he wants. And that's the whole point of Help 50. You can find 50 women in your area. Again, I will support you. I'll promote you. We have the Armed Citizen Project Facebook page. Over 10,000 followers, so I can send some attention your way if that's what you want. And again, I'm recruiting. So if you want to do it in your area in Missouri or upstate New York, please do. It's much harder to do it in upstate New York, but I will do my best to support you and the cause.
All right. And and please, my audience, look in the description for this video, and you'll see all the links to all the websites for this, so you can read more about the program. This is great. I love this type of program. I love being able, the idea of arming people that society and our government tends to make it, the hardest to defend themselves. It's the lower end of the poverty scale and things like that, and they have to live where all the crime is, and yet they make it hard as hell for them to defend themselves. So
in my area, it's not just crime. I mean, so one of the women I armed was named Patty. Okay, she lives out in the country, and her husband recently passed away. So she's out there alone in the country. A lot of wildlife issues. Again, that's also a good target for criminals. Somebody who lives by themselves, far from the cops. What are you going to do? So, and in certain states, you're worrying about bears and all sorts of other animals. So, when gun grabbers talk about taking away the right to self-defense, they mean it in all fashions, and in every community, in every house. They don't want somebody who lives, 10 miles from a bear cave to be able to protect themselves. That's what they really don't want, any form of self-protection. They're scared of it.
And the ironic thing is, all the politicians that cheerlead this stuff have armed security, and their children go to private schools that are armed to the teeth. So, what's good, for the patricians isn't necessarily good for the plebeians, apparently.
Well, I think that actions speak louder than words, and when they have armed security, they're admitting that it works.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't work, they wouldn't have it.
That's an excellent point. Well, Robert, I think this is an excellent program, and I'd like to do some episodes later on about the progress as we do. So I'm going to stay with this and like to work with you and show the progress on this. If we can get some more people trained, get some more shotguns out there, and I'd like to see about maybe getting this started other places, maybe even in my local area here. But I'd like to commend you for what you're doing to help protect our Second Amendment, preserve our Second Amendment, which is unjustly under attack so much these days. So I just want to thank you for that, and I wish you all the luck in the world with this initiative, and I'll be there to help you all the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.